Hello there, I am back after a pretty long break, and today we're going to be talking about Master. So, I saw Master now available on Amazon Prime Video, and yeah, you read the title. It is what it is.
It's what it is. What it is. It's what it is. It is what it is. It is what it is.
What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is this film is exactly what you expect it to be, a classy action masala entertainer. But if I simply talk about what works and what doesn't, it wouldn't feel as distinctive from the other reviews. We know what this film is, but how can I talk about this film and talk about something new and different than what others have already said? To be honest, I don't know. I'll try my level best to have a conversation about the film Master. Lokesh Kanagaraj is a somewhat well-known filmmaker in the South Indian industry, and it's been a while since we saw mass entertainers, so this was quite an experience. Here's the problem with most South Indian action entertainers. There's what the filmmaker wants, and there's what the audience wants. And the issue with this is it makes sense when it's either one, but when you try to do both, well, it becomes a mess. A perfect example of this film is Petta, where the first half is a classic Rajini film made for the audience, and the second half is the director's film where it gets into the plot. The film isn't completely like that because it's made for the audience, but there are a little interesting writing details in Master which I think should be talked about. It's cool to see the villain Bhavani's story, played by Vijay Sethupathi, because it sets up the short origin story of the antagonist and we see how powerful he becomes over the years. There's physical powerful and then there's respect powerful, and Bhavani conquers both. Since we set him up as an extremely dangerous character, we are interested to see how JD, Vijay's character, comes into conflict with the villain. I went into this film fully knowing and accepting that the action is going to defy physics. It's going to have inspirational speeches, it's going to have these sentimental motivations, and the characters are going to be larger than life. So once I had accepted these things, I had a lot of fun with the film. The slow motion shots, although overdone at times, really excited me. In a lot of the scenes, I felt like fist pumping the air. Now, in the first half, where we see Vijay in the college, is kind of pointless. Now, I understand these college characters appear later in the story, but even if they were never introduced, it wouldn't have changed the thing. The problem isn't that these characters are badly written, the problem is that they come and go. It would have been nice if we saw more of them and how new bonds were created throughout and how the characters had changed. Either that or don't introduce them at all. Now, the plotline where JD visits the other school where all the children are these drug addicts and has to, sort of fix the place and force these kids to change was way more interesting than the other plotline. And I like how the institution is connected to Bhavani, the villain, as he supplies these drugs to the children, making them criminals. Now, JD is somewhat like this dickish persona who's drunk and carefree in nature with no sense of responsibility. He's an extreme alcoholic, and this is his flaw. And over the course of the film, in the institution, two young boys call out to him for help, but his alcoholism and drunk nature causes him to miss out on their plea. And before you know it, they are hanged to death by the villain, establishing his cruel and merciless nature towards even children, and JD's character arc of coming out of his state of selfishness and accept responsibility for his actions. This isn't genius writing, but it's well written enough to fill out some motivation. And as Vijay and Vijay talk on the phone, we have known enough to see their conflict, so we're excited to see them together when they clash. Now, I got to appreciate Anirudh's brilliant score. It's perfect for this kind of massive film with an energetic and bombastic nature to complement the grandiosity of the storytelling. By working on films like Petta, Mari, Darbar, Katti, Zaho, he's slowly becoming one of my favorite Indian film composers. He's even given a shout out in the film, so that's kind of awesome. And since we're talking about the technical aspects of the film, the best thing about this film is the cinematography. The cinematographer Satyan Suran, dude, is a legend. The main defining colors of this film are blue and brown. The blue can signify the calm and nonchalant nature of our hero, and the contrasting brown could be the color signifying our villain, who's more dark and bathed in shadows. Or maybe I'm just looking too much into it, I don't know. I love the scene where Vijay hijacks Bhavani's den, where he holds a thug hostage. The reason why the scene is funny and scary at the same time is because the atmosphere is quiet. Vijay silently enters the area, switching off the lights one by one. He then holds a knife to this one thug whose face we don't see as he's covered in darkness. This whole scene is shot in one take. Now, at first, I thought it's just a pointless, ambitious one take moment. But after seeing the whole scene, it proves its existence to me. So, what happens? So, basically, Vijay has entered this den to tell Bhavani's men that he's coming for them. But after entering the den, the camera finally turns to show that the thug Vijay was holding hostage was Bhavani himself. This was genius as it uses camera work to do visual storytelling. No words, just the camera becoming a character to show both perspectives. I like the moments where Vijay tells these different sad backstories adapted from different films that his listeners haven't seen. It's funny. There isn't much of a conclusion to it, but it was a comedic bit. Also, the heroine could have just been a character instead of the love interest, but I'm happy the film avoids love songs and a whole unnecessary romance subplot. The film is 3 hours anyway, they saved us some much needed time. We know there's a tragic past to his character. We don't exactly figure out what it is, and I love that because seeing a tragic past is somewhat cliche now and even says, let's not focus on what made me drunk, let's focus on what got me out of it. This builds character and also saves us some useless time. Now, the part near the climax lost me a little. The part where Bhavani kills JD's previous college friends was good and bad. Good in the sense that it solidifies Bhavani as this monstrous villain who can do anything. It worked because I really thought to myself, man, how is Vijay going to beat this guy? Which is very effective to make your antagonist feel powerful and like a threat. The reason it was bad is because it kills a lot of these characters who the film hasn't spent enough time with. Few characters whom we never met die. Few characters who we see very little of are also killed. So I didn't feel much there. This scene would have worked if the film actually took the time to develop these characters, or as I said, just don't show them in the first place. The final battle was disappointing. It's just a usually punchy punch fight where the hero and the villain kick and punch each other to death. We have seen this a million times. Since Bhavani is the head of this lorry business, maybe including lorries in the clash could have added some weight to it. Here's what I think a final battle should do. A final battle shouldn't be a series of punches and kicks, although you can have those, but there has to be conflict of ideologies, which is why they're fighting. The winner of the fight means the victory of the ideology they hold. There are no ideologies here. They just want to kill each other because they did bad things, which is fine, but you could have so much more. Am I expecting too much from a mindless action masala film? Maybe. But I don't hear many people, except the critics, which is why people should just accept that they're smarter than us in the field of cinema, talk about these things. One thing that is clear is that this is a written film because there's a plot and character arcs, which is sad because it shows us how little our masala films have evolved. It's a praiseworthy attempt, but I wish this film exceeded the boundaries of what's expected from this genre and did something more. Now, maybe it's not all the filmmakers' fault. Maybe they were forced to do these certain cliches because the audience demanded it. And if that's true, then it's really tragic because it tells us how eventually the audience is in power here. Now, that power can be used for good, but I think in this case it's very restrictive to our filmmakers. Hopefully, our audience changes for the better, giving more freedom for the films to evolve over time and explore uncharted territory. Thank you so much for watching this video. Also, make sure to check out my blog. Not many people read it, so I'd appreciate it if you check it out. And yeah,